So it was one of those, I say defining because I think it put a little chip in my shoulder of like, all right, they're not giving me the value that I think I have. I'm just going to go get it myself.
Hey guys, on this episode of Kickin Assets, I'm joined by my new friend, Rhett Sandusky, who is basically in the same stage of life as we are, except on the real estate side. And Rhett has an amazing following on social media. We dive deep into what it takes to make that content and to stay consistent and really keep first things first. So hope you guys enjoy.
Hey, it's Armin with Attract. At Attract Advisors, we offer accounting advisory, tax advisory, as well as financial management services. We're lucky enough to work with very many hardworking, talented entrepreneurs across many different industries. Many of these individuals are world-class in their sphere and have great stories to tell. This is our way of highlighting their accomplishments and their insights, and we hope you enjoy these conversations.
So the first time I heard about you, Rhett, was, I don't know, maybe during COVID, right? Where real estate was booming. And at that point I was getting involved in real estate, and I had known Stephen Cuvion from back in the day. And so I started getting connected with a lot of these young realtors, and my best friend Aldo Russo owns HDMK. And so I started like really learning these personalities and looking at, obviously social media. That's all we did during COVID was scroll social media and stuff like that. And so when we connected, I was really happy to have you on. And I'm interested first, I think our listeners are interested too, and kind of learning the backstory, right? So, you're obviously, there's a lot of information out there on your history and your own podcast and stuff like that. But kind of walk me through like early Rhett.
Yeah. Early Rhett. I'm from a very small town right outside of New Orleans called Luling, Louisiana. I don't know if a lot of people have never even heard of it. Small enough to where like 10 of your friends lived on the same street. Like we could just ride our bikes and we saw, it's vastly different from Baton Rouge. But from Luling, Louisiana, had a good stable household, Christian household to plant the roots. No matter how far I swayed, the roots were still there. Went to Hahnville High School. And my dad always kind of just stuck in me the entrepreneur, self-employed, hey, you don't want to go cap yourself on what you can do. You want a sky's the limit type situation. So at a young age, he gave me a lawnmower, he gave me a weed eater and a blower, and he said, go to work. So I started just kind of cutting some yards around the neighborhood, and that kind of just stuck with me. Just the entrepreneur, reap what you sow type mentality. And then did the high school thing, did the emo days and had the fun there. And my senior year was Katrina. So at the end of it, UNO, which funny enough, LSU just acquired, but I went to UNO because they were just handing out scholarships like crazy. I was like, I'll take one of those. I don't know what I want to do, so I'll just go to UNO. It sucked. It was a big commuting school. So all my friends were at LSU and just living the football life and just having fun. And I just wasn't having that. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. So ended up transferring to LSU, and just always kind of kept that entrepreneur. I just kind of knew in my head, my dad was he bounced back and forth from insurance and real estate, but he did real estate when I was in high school. So I think that's what kind of like stuck with me. So I kind of always knew in my head that's the direction I wanted to go, but I was like, hey, let's do the college thing and just kind of see what happens. So started off with a marketing degree, finished with a finance degree because I thought that was more secure, right? Not using any of them now, but real estate, you don't need any of it, but it does help for the context. But finished at LSU, met my wife, and just planted roots in Baton Rouge.
And was it real estate right away for you?
It was. So my plan was actually to get both real estate license and insurance license. So I got my real estate license first, and I just, my dad was always pushing me towards insurance. He's like, look, that recurring residual is what you want. You don't want every year starts over kind of thing. But I just was always attracted to the out in the field, the marketing aspect of real estate. So yeah, I got my license right out of college, and I was going to get my insurance license as well. But I just stuck with real estate. It just was the more fun thing in my head.
And it's important what team you get on, right? Yeah. Like as a young real estate agent, and you probably got some good fortune as it relates to what the market was doing around that time too, right? Like Baton Rouge was really growing coming off of Katrina. I mean, I guess you were at least 4 years out of that.
Yeah, it was 2011. So it was actually a pretty terrible market. But since I was new, I didn't know how to compare it. I just kind of dove right in. But yeah, being associated with someone that knew the market and knew it well was important to get started.
And so like from a sales perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, even accountants are salespeople. Like when you meet a girl in a bar, you're selling, right? Like you're trying to close like new friendships and new relationships and stuff like that. And so was that something that like the skills you developed over time, and was it cold calling? Like how do you go from a new agent in a bad market, to survive that long and, build really at that point was probably some assets like with your CRM and whatnot. Like what were your sources of training and learning, and like what was your daily routine like?
Yeah, so I wish I could say that I hit the ground running in real estate, but it was slow. I had a lot of pride. I feel like I just kind of knew. I always chase the entrepreneur, self-employed aspect, but it often, I think, built a lot of pride in me of like, I know what I'm doing. I can do it all on my own. I don't need any help. So when I got into real estate, I kind of kept that a little too close to me. So I didn't quite know what I was supposed to do every day. I did have a great brokerage that trained you. And I think that's one of the cons of getting your real estate license is when you get your license, they don't teach you anything of how to actually run your business. It's all legal definitions and attorneys and contracts, and you're not learning how to actually go hunt and gather. So I will say I learned a lot, having a lawn business in high school and in college. I learned a lot about customer service, door knocking, and how to acquire customers. So it was just kind of the old school boots on the ground type thing. So that helped me a lot, I will say. But it was a slow start in real estate because I don't think I quite had the guidance of telling me what I should be doing every day. So I was trying to figure it out on my own. And 6 months in, I was like, I haven't made a penny. So I need to find something. I had a girlfriend that I wanted to get engaged to, but I was like, I need to my now wife. And I was like, I need to be more financially secure. So honestly, I went and got a job with her dad at ServPro. So for about a year and a half, if you're not familiar with ServPro, it's
restoration,
right?
right?
I was a water mitigation technician, so manual labor on call. So I did that in real estate and kept some of my lawn services for about a year and a half. But I feel like that was such a defining moment of learning grit for one, and then learning balance, but also, just figuring out what I wanted to do. And it all kind of funneled to real estate in the end. But along the way, just learning the little things, whether good or bad, or what really kind of set me up pretty well.
And looking at what the business looks like right now and the following that you developed, right? It's so largely based on social media. And, you look back, I wasn't sure how old you are, but like you and I kind of came up in that realm of learning to code MySpace.
Yeah.
Like, remember when you'd like put your song on there and like your backgrounds. And so, I think we really timed it well as it relates to like knowing the old way of doing things, but then also not being so like myopic to only being great at social media.
Yeah.
And so kind of talk about like, at what point did that become a huge priority for you, and what did it do for your business?
Man, I'm not going to say I was the first adopter of it in real estate, but I will say the brokerage I started at was very traditional, had a lot of just old school, hey, this is what you do. You call, you pound the phones. So Facebook was the big thing at that time when I started. Instagram wasn't even a thing. TikTok obviously wasn't there. So Facebook was like the thing. And I remember like just doing one video. It was just the worst video ever, just a backyard at an open house. And I think that's what kind of sparked like, all right, nobody else is quite doing this, and it's free. I can post something on social media and reach, minimum of 100 people versus how long is it going to take me to call 100 people and them actually listen to me. So I just saw the benefit of it early on. And it's just a free and easy way to establish trust with people, right? So the parasocial relationship you get when people see you on video and they hear you on video, and video wasn't even big at the time. It was more so just photos and text, but the ability for people to see and learn who you are, it's just a quicker entry, not to use it as a manipulation thing, but when people just kind of know what they're getting when they call you, it's just a fast track to it. So using social media was a no-brainer to me. It was change for a lot of people that resisted it and still haven't caught on, but I just saw the benefit of it super early. I was like, why would we not do this? You know, I have my friends list, I have a list of, it's like a CRM almost. I have a list of everybody that I know, and it's just a quicker way to establish trust with them. So it was a no-brainer. I don't know why people didn't adapt it sooner. You know?
And so at what point did you feel like you were, I guess, in tune with the real estate side enough to let ServPro go and to let the lawn business go?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy, it was just a defining moment in the sense of like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? Obviously I liked the secure paycheck, even though it was less than I wanted to, but real estate seemed more fulfilling and sky was the limit. So I had a finance degree and I was working at ServPro, and no shame with that, but I was like, I should be doing something different. So I was like, let me put my finance degree to use. I'll go apply to banks. So, you know, Regions, a Chase, had a couple interviews, and the thing that kind of sucks about like the self-employed world is that your resume really sucks.
Yeah.
you have no history or experience in like that field. So I had the weakest resume ever. Probably interviewed okay, but at the end of the day, I didn't get the job. So it was one of those, I say defining because I think it put a little chip on my shoulder of like, all right, they're not giving me the value that I think I have. I'm just going to go get it myself. So I think that after about a year and a half, had a good cushion. I was engaged. I was like, all right, this is going to be a clean slate. I don't want to be on call when I'm married. I don't want to go out at 2 a.m. to suck up water and pull up floors. So about a year and a half, I said, you know what, I'm going all in, back all in. I kind of had the foundation set from the brokerage I was at. And that was like, I think the chip on my shoulder was what said, all right, screw them. I'm going to go do it myself and show them that I can do it, kind of thing.
And what year was that?
Got my license in 2011, beginning of 2011. So a year and a half, 2012.
Is when you got serious with it?
Yeah, end of 2012. I remember it was like a November, kind of the worst month to really go all in. But yeah, it was around 2012 at the end of it.
And so started with social media. And so by the time COVID came around, like you were established, right?
Oh yeah. I was running and gunning.
And so kind of talk me through that time because, you know, we're out of it now. Like we're out of the COVID high. That's when I first learned about you again. And I mean, how crazy was that?
It was nuts. It was great financially, but man, it was no breathing at all. The hard part was not getting clients. The hard part was getting offers accepted. So oftentimes you had to know the tricks of how to have. Thankfully, I had the relationships with certain agents to like, you know, be able to get in the door. And it was just, I couldn't even breathe. I would go show a house and then I'd have to go back to my truck and go sit in a parking lot and type it up. I couldn't go home because I knew we were going to miss out 6 minimum offers. And that was the biggest thing. It really did suck for like the first time home buyers, the ones who necessarily had to do like an RD loan or VA loan. The conventional cash buyers just racked up. Thankfully, I was enough in my career to where my buyers were a little stronger than some. But it was just, it was fun in its own way, but man, not a sustainable career thing. But that is what kind of fast tracked me into starting a team. I realized the benefit of leverage, benefit of having other people help me along the way, and I wouldn't do it all by myself. But so I'm thankful for that, but I don't say I want it back, just how busy it was.
You know, you kind of forget about that piece too of like the high pressure of it, like the day the house is listed.
Yeah.
And, you know, like even for your sellers, I mean, you know, they'd have like 13 showings in a day. Like that's stressful in its own right. And, you know, I forget about that portion. I mean, you know, I have a few real estate agent clients and, you know, we always talk about the good old days of that time. And just, it's so crazy the downstream effects of how great that was, right? The home inspections and the lenders and the home services, like it really created, I think for a lot of people, like this false sense of security.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but you had developed a book of business before that, right? And so you kind of knew what it would be like to go back to and things of that nature. But was it during COVID that you started scaling your team?
Yes, it's probably right before. It took me way too long to get a transaction coordinator. I'm a pretty organized guy, but I did see, I think at one point I had 18 pending transactions, and all day was just managing those. I was not filling up the pipeline to continue that. So I was like, okay, I need leverage. So I got a part-time assistant right before that. She became full-time, I think, when COVID started. And then that was when I saw the benefit of having, a team behind that. But you're right, the ripple effect, like even in the lending world, some lenders went straight to the refi. They're like, hey, we're only doing refis. We're not even going to do these home loans anymore. And those are the ones that kind of bit them in the butt because they didn't establish the long-term relationships. But even the ripple effects of selling, I think we're just now getting out of like sellers thinking they can just list their house and get multiple offers and don't have to prep. So there was some good and bad that came out of it, And
so one of my favorite things about following you, again, we're new friends, but like, seeing like your posts and stuff is like, you're like one of the funniest people that I've seen. And I just like, every time there's a new video, like I watch it start to finish because I'm just waiting for like some of those one-liners, right? Like the time where, you were eating breakfast with some guy and he was a Catholic and you tried to convince him to eat the bacon, but he wouldn't do it. Like, that's just so funny to me. So where do you get that sense of humor from?
I have no idea. My parents, no offense to them, they're not funny. I think I just had a really great group of friends growing up. I've just always liked TV shows of like dry sense of humor, The Office, Parks and Rec and whatnot. Yeah. So I think that just kind of stuck with me. And you got to have a little personality sometimes to stick out. There's like thousands of agents. So.
There are. Yeah. And I think like, I love watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah. My wife can't stand it. But just that dry humor. In fact, I got into that during COVID. Yeah. Like COVID was such a formative part of like my life, and it's funny that, some of the objections that you got from like, getting turned down at a banking job and stuff like that. It was really the same for me as it relates to, I kind of hit my ceiling in corporate accounting and I had gone for a few CFO roles that I knew I was underqualified for, but like I couldn't get them. Yeah. And so I said, screw it. Like I'm just going to start something. And, thank God my business partner, Armin, came over from Epic Piping and then, really more of the same, just like starting to scale. And, we've talked a lot about branding and, the investment that it takes to sit down and do something like this. Yeah. And so I want to get into, some of like the mini series that you've done and kind of where that came from. So the first one was burgers. Yes. And so I'm a huge burger guy. So I watched every single thing that you did and I can't agree more with your rankings. Yes. But talk to me about like where that idea came from and like, how did you know how to structure it? Because the videos are not too long, but they're not too short. Yeah. And then it became this thing where burger joints like want you to come. Yeah. Right. So talk me through that.
Yeah. So we're talking about COVID a lot, but during that time, I think a lot of effort went into helping local businesses. Right. It was a very tough time, especially in the restaurant industry. So there was a lot of effort to try to help them and support them and promote them. And that's just always kind of like carried me through like that idea of helping others, helping their businesses. So, it was just a random Facebook post I put one time that was like, where's the best burger? And people were just like chirping in the comments and arguing. And I was like, kind of got my brain thinking, I was okay, this is a good thing to get engagement, right? And then I guess further context, my wife always throw under the bus with this, but like I send out an email newsletter and it's always real estate. And I was venting to her one day of like, no one reads it. People are unsubscribing. And she's like, well, yeah, nobody cares. And I was like, well, what do you mean nobody cares? She's like, well, if no one's in the market to buy or sell, they don't care what the interest rates are, inventory and month supply, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I feel like if people are going to stick around And if I do want to establish trust, I need to be well-rounded, right? So not just real estate. So with that series, I think there were multiple layers to it. One, it's just fun, right? I wanted to just actually go try the burgers myself and form my own personal rankings. But two, it was a way to support local businesses, like shouting them out, tagging them, collabing with them. I got to meet so many of the owners. There was that. Two, it was networking. I got to eat with my friends and on video, and you only saw a portion of our conversations. We ended up just having good conversations from it. But it also deeper established trust with people. Like they are seeing that, okay, he can be funny. He's not just always a serious real estate guy all the time. So burgers was like the perfect start because I think it's such a controversial thing. So I was like, all right, I got to keep this going. There's so many more foods, and doing the ranking thing, I think keeps people intrigued of like, all right, what's going to be the final thing versus just a vague, yeah, it's good or it's bad. So I went into breakfast, and of course there's a culmination of things that could happen from it, but it was fun, man. It's been a really fun enough to where 15 years in the business, people will come up and recognize me, and I assume it's real estate. Like, no, you're the burger guy. Wow, established nothing here.
Yeah, I will say, like, when I watch your rankings, like on a 0 to 10 scale, 7 seems to be really good for you, and like for me, 9 is good. So when I first started watching them, I'm like, man, he's ranking them too low. But then it becomes more about relative rankings, right? And so that was one thing that stuck out about what when I would watch you, and so you kind of developed this following. Restaurants like want to reach out to you to come in or maybe pay you to get on the platform or whatever. Like, was that surprising for you that people were starting to reach out?
It was, obviously we have the mutual friend Chad, and he has a Chad Schoonmaker, and he has a food Instagram account, and they're always reaching out to him and like trying to give him free stuff to come eat it. And so when I started getting it, I was kind of like, look, I got it too over here. But it was surprising because I've never taken a dime for any of them. Like I want to pay because I feel like when I get paid to do it, it has to influence. I can't give them a bad ranking. I got to give them a good promotion. So I was like, I don't want your money. I'm going to pay for it and do it myself. But yeah, I'll get like ramen places and just totally unrelated places. I'm like, I'm not going to go eat ramen in my truck and do that. But it's fun. But yeah, it is a little surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, and then kind of right into breakfast too, which I really also love. I've been eating breakfast for 34 years, and so that was really entertaining. And a thing with you too is like you do a great job of almost making your guest the hero, right? Like. I read at the very beginning of a tract, like building a story brand. And that it talks about how, as business owners, we don't need to be the hero. We need to be the guide, and so that was something that really stuck out to me as well. And then, of course, like your breadth of network too, right? And so a couple of weeks ago, we had Miller Hilliard on, who I know is in a group with you. And so can you talk a little about that group and really what it's done for you,
for sure.
And both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, it's iron sharpening iron, right? So obviously I didn't know everybody from the start, and it was a little intimidating. Like, oh, these are big dudes in the industry or in the market. But just having spent time with them, it's fun nonetheless. Like the group chat is it's entertaining. But when we get together, there's just a good balance of like bros hanging out and bros keeping each other accountable. Like the fact that I did listen to Miller's episode, and I'm glad he shouted it out, and just echoing the same stuff. Like when we have to say yes or no if we hit our goal. One, we have to say our goals. Like you're not just going to come and say, I don't really have any goals. Like, no, you're here because you should have goals and you should be striving for something. And then when we come back and we have to share if we hit them or not, I mean, it's accountability. I think there's accountability. I think sometimes can be seen as a negative thing. But I think for high achievers like yourself and like that group, it's one of the best things you can have. Just having a group of guys that are rooting for each other. There's no I mean, there's other like real estate agents. There's other like just a little mending of similar industries, but we're all rooting for each other. It's just it does no good to try to compete. A healthy competition's good, but when you have a group of guys that just genuinely cares, and has fun. It just goes a long way.
And there's enough work for everyone, right? Like it seems like everyone in that group and really, in this circle that, we're, I think, very blessed to be a part of it's just a mindset of abundance, right?
Yeah.
And it's very, it's biblical, right? I mean, abundance is a biblical term. And, when we started Attract, that was the thing. It was based on the law of attraction, like it's an abundant mindset. What you put out will come back to you. And so, I think you've experienced that in your business as well. Like, okay, going from sole agent to building a team, to building this great social media following. And then as of late, these just huge projects, right? Of getting into these plantations and like these high ticket, like very difficult deals. Yeah. And so can you kind of walk me through like, what was the decisions that led up to even like being in position to take that?
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to kind of networking and who you know. So there was like a little domino effect of how, speaking of those properties specifically, of how that came to us. It was someone in New York who knew another agent at our same brokerage, but in a different state. And he pointed him to someone at our brokerage. And she said, hey, would you guys like to explore the option of doing these? So just being in the right room with the right people gets you the opportunity. Something I share with my team all the time is that opportunities don't just happen, like we create them. So no matter how lucky you think you are, you did something to put yourself in the position to get lucky, right? So yeah, with those properties, I wouldn't say they fell into our lap, but they were just kind of a domino effect of coming in front of us and saying, hey, do you want to take them on? And I can go a little more into it if you want to let's
hear about it. Cause I've been so interested in like, it's a mix of commercial and residential. And, a lot of times I guess it's investors and a lot of the investment is probably based on cash forecasting or like business forecasting. Like I'm interested in also like the business model of that too.
All of it was unfamiliar. I think that's the biggest thing. So I really just got the addresses like, hey, someone we know has these 2 properties they need to sell. And they're not like sexy addresses. They're like State Highway, this or that. And I'm like, and in Napoleonville and Bachelor, I'm like, I don't know where that is. So when I search the address and then the image of the property comes up, I'm like, oh. And then I searched the other one and I was like, oh, snap. Like these, so I texted my team member that we co-listed with and I was like, do you realize these are massive plantations? And she said, I did not know that. So my initial thought, man, I was super overwhelmed and hesitant. I think one aspect I really overthought was that they are plantations. Not long ago, Nottoway burned and I just saw the polarization that caused on social media. And I was like, man, do I want our name to be associated with that? Because I don't want people, chirping at us in the comments every time we posted something or marketing based off of its history. But 2, I'm like, are these realistically going to sell? Like early in your career, I want all the listings. I don't care if they sell. I just want to put my name on something. But later you're like, all right, how much time and effort and money is it going to take to do this? And is it realistically going to sell? So I thought about those and I was like, let's explore a little further. Then I looked at the owner and another like, oh, snap. Like it was a high profile, world-renowned artist in New York. And I transparently never heard of him before. My wife got a painting and drawing degree from LSU and she was like, Hunt Sloanum? And I was like, I don't know who that is. She said, he's kind of a big deal. And I was like, oh gosh. So it was all just this overwhelming, uncomfortable, unfamiliar territory. So I was like, we'll keep exploring it. And then after chatting with the seller, very quirky guy, then finding out they had a hard deadline to sell them. So he bought a huge property in Newport, Rhode Island, around $30 million, and he was going to do a reverse 1031 exchange for his other properties. So he had a hard date of July 15th to sell them. And this is like November of the year prior. And I said, all right, now we have a hard date. So again, what are we going to do? So ultimately I said, look, let's do it. It's uncomfortable. We'll take it on. And I really had 3 different people and personalities to appease. I had the owner, who was the visionary, passionate. I love the history of these properties. He's the dreamer. And he's smart enough to hire a CEO. So I was dealing with his CEO who doesn't care about the history at all. He just cares about the numbers. Like, I want it to sell and I want to help you hit your goal of your reverse 1031. They're both from New York. So you got the brash, blunt, just New York, no nonsense personalities. And here you got the Southern charm of trying to just, butter them up. But then we had the groundskeepers for each property who had a vested interest because they're employed to work the property. So the new owner, they're hoping whoever buys it's going to keep them on because it's going to keep them employed. Mm-hmm. So I had 3 different people to kind of appease throughout. So, man, fast forward, it's a good ending. We sold the bigger one, the more expensive one, I should say, about a month ago. Sold the other one 4 days before the deadline. But it was it just stretched me in so many ways. But now that it's wrapped up, I'm like, man, I'm really glad. I learned so much. I was stretched in so many different ways. And I'm like, I feel like I can go do any property now. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to be intimidated by a price point, a location, a style. Like, if we can sell those and help those personalities, big personalities, like, I think we can do anything, It was fun.
What is it like? What are the future uses of each of them, you think?
So we showed it to so many different types of buyers, all the way from people looking for venue type options, the commercial buyer, bed and breakfast, wedding venue. One of them was probably a good fit for that in Napoleonville. The other one in Bachelor was just too remote of an area. It wasn't going to work. So we showed it to those type of people. We showed it to like historians who just love the property. But they don't have money. So they just wanted to go look at it and like dream about it. We showed it to people that would use it as a personal house. I even showed it to like one of them to a first-time home buyer who was like, yeah, we just like think we could maybe use this as a commercial use, but also live in it. They were like 24. I'm like, bro, this is not your property. So it was just a culmination of a lot of different type of uses. Ultimately, it's sold to people like the owner who just appreciated the properties, and it's just kind of a collection.
Yeah, it's added to the art collection.
So I don't think they plan to use it as like a commercial use, but just as a second home or just a show off property, which is baffling. But hey, it's a buyer for everything.
Each their own.
Yeah.
Like my dad likes to say, and he botches it, but he says different strokes for different people,
Something like that.
So you get these plantations sold, you're looking back and you're like, man, look at this team that I've built and these new challenges that we've faced and we've overcame. And this whole time, like, you're stretching yourself as a leader, right? And as a great leaders first have to lead themselves. Yeah. And so talk a little bit about what it feels like to share those wins with your team and to share them with now your family. And I think another great thing that sticks out about you is like your content ropes in your family and ropes in your children. And so like you've got a leadership responsibility there too, probably the most important one. Yeah. And so kind of talk about like how you've grown as a leader, both like at home and in the business over the last X amount of years since your kids were born. Yeah, man, kids will stretch you as well and teach you things. But I think ultimately it was a big step for me to start a team. I overthink a lot of things. I get the analysis paralysis. So I'm like, do I want to do that? Because it does take on new responsibilities. I'm no longer just responsible for myself. I am responsible for leading others. So it was a big step for me to do. But I think I landed on ultimately what legacy do I want to leave, right? So it's morbid, but I don't know who I heard it from, maybe Gary Vee or what's his name, Hermosi. But it's like, however many generations, no one's going to remember you at all. Like, you're going to be just another person in history. So like, but how do you want to be remembered for the people that you do encounter and you do interact with? And that's what I landed on, of like, I don't want to just die a solo agent who just kind of paid the bills. I want to actually do something that's fulfilling and lead others and help them do the same. So it's been a stretch. I think one of the hardest thing is just to change my language sometimes from me to we, my to our. Like when we get a listing and our team gets a listing, like it may say my name on the listing agreement, but like, hey, this is our listing, and just kind of get them to feel a sense of ownership with it. And that has gone leaps and bounds with him. But yeah, just constantly filling myself up. Morning times are so important, of like just filling my own cup up so that I'm able to just overflow to others throughout the day. Not just my team, but my wife, my children.
But I've grown to lead the team. This is where I think we're a little bit different in the sense of if your personal life, your family life, your home life sucks, I don't care if your business is thriving. Like that's not a win to me. You need this to be in your top priority because ultimately it's going to flow into your business as well. So I just try to lead the team in the sense of like, hey, granted, I don't get too personal or as deep as they'll let me get with him. But sometimes like, hey, do I have permission to be like a little personal? Like how is your mental state? How is like this? Because if that's not set and firm, then business it's just gonna crumble. So I've been really intentional with trying to just lead it from a holistic standpoint. I'm a follower of Jesus, so I like to try to implement that into everything that we do as well. And not everybody on the team believes the same, but they know that I do, and I think my clients know that, my industry knows that. So that's really just kind of where it all flows from, to be honest.
And you're always developing yourself personally too, right?
Yes.
So did I see that you just did 75 hard or were doing it? Okay.
Not someone on the team did recently, but
it must have just been the workouts like in your gym, right?
Uh-huh.
So what I love about that is like I could see your kids working out with you, right? So like how old are your kids and like is it something that they look forward to, or do you just like say, hey, go play over there in the corner while I try to get like 2 sets in? Like, what does that look like realistically?
Yeah, I always tell my friends, if I didn't have kids, I would be so yoked and you'd be in trouble right now. But no, I've adapted to the home gym just to like be able to, like morning times, I like to kind of take the lead and let my wife, kind of slowly wake up as much as she needs to because she's with them all day. So having the home gym, I'm able to just go in the garage, come in, go out as much as I need to. But yeah, so I have 3 kids. One's 8, Madison's 8, Core Jane is 6, and then Wiley, our youngest, is 2. And they are early risers. I guess they just kind of saw dad doing it. So they're like, all right, I'm gonna wake up early too. They get FOMO if they sleep in. So they're like, I think an average wake up time for the youngest is like 5:30.
Cool.
So I've tried to beat him into working out and be ready for when he wakes up. He won't let me. So, I wouldn't say I put him in the corner, but I try to get like the heavy stuff out of the way before they're in there. But
the dangerous stuff.
Yeah, the one that would smash him. But ultimately they're in there. There's a little section of the garage. They have like stuff to play with. But I've just kind of thought, and it's easy to get frustrated. Like, man, I have goals. I want to get some gains. I want to, get the PR up. But I kind of just resort back to what am I doing it for? Like, I'm doing it for the kids. So I want to be around and feel good when they're at this age. So I'm going to incorporate it sometimes. So, it's a good balance. I try to get the gains as well, but I realize like I'm setting the example for them. Even on Saturdays and Sunday, like the weekend, my youngest will wake up. He's like, "We're not going in the garage." I'm like, "It's the weekend, man.
Yeah, take it easy, bro.
A break. Go easy on me." But he just knows that's the habit. Like we're gonna wake up and we're gonna move our bodies and be healthy.
Man, so tell me about bedtime.
Oh,
Because I'm right there with you, bro.
Yeah.
I've got a 7, 5, 2.5-year-old daughters, and then I've got a 7-month-old son. And when you said that they wake up that early, I'm like, man, I bet you they go to bed early. But if they go to bed early, I bet you that is a war.
yeah. It's gotten increasingly harder. The more kids you add, surprisingly, it gets harder. Our first was great. We did like a sleep training thing with her.
Same.
And
Worked great.
Yeah, 7 to 7. She slept awesome. And then I think we got a little too cocky with the second one. She came along and it got a little more difficult. They share a room now, but the third one is really kind of he was great. We put him down, he'd go to sleep, and he would wake up early. But now he won't go down, like he won't stay. So we just kind of fall asleep. I say they kind of fall asleep on the couch, and I'll just deadlift them up and bring them to their beds. And it's hit or miss sometimes if they're like snap out of it, like, wait, I'm not ready to go to bed, So we're dealing with the whole sneaking out of your room, come to our room, kind of thing. So it's a struggle because like, hey, our time from like 8 to 10 was like our time.
Yeah.
And now they're bleeding into it. And I'm like, man, how do we get rid of these kids, But no, it's obviously it's perspective, right? Of just being around them, but it is definitely difficult.
And it's a season.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing with my older daughters especially, we ride a lot of bikes, and thankfully we live in a bigger neighborhood now. We used to live in the DSLD neighborhood off of Oak Ridge Estates. And I think you had a listing or two in there at some point. And, it was just like one big horseshoe.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really like many places to go. But, I taught my daughters to ride bikes like on 2 wheels when they were young. And I just bought my 5-year-old a gear bike.
Nice.
And so she can keep up with us now. In fact, she's now hard for me to keep up with. Her bike's more expensive than mine, so hers is faster. But it's really cool to enter that age where, we can all go out and like safely ride bikes together.
Yeah.
And don't necessarily have to worry about them like riding in front of a car
Yeah.
or anything like that. And so I'm curious, just because we're at the same point of our lives, like, what do you guys do for family fun besides working out in the garage?
Yeah. We are, let's see, I have the 2 girls, they love like crafts and stuff like that and dressing up. So I always said I wanted to like always be a girl dad. But now that we have a boy, I'm like, man, this is awesome. But during the summer, we like to go to the beach. Like they're big. We have a neighborhood pool. We go to the neighborhood pool. They're definitely like to swim and get in the water and play. And we have some friends down the street we'll play with. My mom lives down the street, so we'll visit her.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's super clutch. So just the normal things, they like to play outside, which is brutal in this heat.
It is brutal.
But it's the normal things, man, the crafts. And my wife, like I said, is an artist, so she's really good at like giving them little kits of things to put together. And but hey, they also love a good bluey session.
Same. I was so like anti-bluey and just like in the beginning, like I didn't know. And then I watched it, and then I watched the episode where they were moving, but then they weren't moving. Yeah. And like, bro, I just like broke down. I'm like, am I crying at this bluey
I'll
episode?
watch that by myself. My kids don't even have to be here.
I've done that. And last night we were watching the one where they always dress up as Rita and Janet, and they dressed up as the old ladies, and that was the one where Bingo slipped on her beans.
Yeah.
And that's what we always said. I slipped on my beans. Yeah. And what a great show.
It's awesome, man. So much deep lessons in it.
Yeah, for sure. And we watch a lot of like the Bucket List Family.
Yeah.
Like just these little YouTube channels. And then of course, it's like same as you, like summers are brutal because there's not that much to do and it's so damn hot outside, man.
It's tough trying to keep them busy. Yeah. They're not quite to the age of I'm bored, but like they do almost. My wife does so good at like having things for them every day that when we don't have something, they're like, "Well, this sucks. What are we doing?" And I'm like, "Well, we can't just entertain you every day. Like, do something. Use your imagination."
Yeah, we've been going to Dick's Sporting Goods to go climb over there, like just finding things to do. And so like it's a nice segue into like work-life balance, right? Because it sounds like you kind of were established before you started having kids. And for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like when my first daughter was born, I was still in corporate America. And then it was like the birth of my second daughter that I was like, okay, man, I've got to do something different. Yeah. And so, there were 4 years of their life. And then I had my third daughter born in that realm too, of like, I knew that I wasn't there as much as I wanted to be. Now, thank God, I feel like I'm making up for lost time, and hopefully I saved that window of when like they didn't really remember, but now they will. And so like, is that something for you at this point that you struggle with as much as you used to? Because now our kids are getting older and they're going to have more after school things and more dad, so-and-so's dad came to school. Why weren't you there that day? But also running a team. Like talk about how you kind of like manage and balance that. Yeah.
Well, I will start off with saying I don't have I don't have it nailed. I'll say that it's a constant struggle, which I've seen, and we talked about when we had a podcast of like we really don't necessarily believe in a work-life balance. It's just like a work-life harmony, and having my wife just be a support and like we keep each other in the loop of hey, help me do this, I'll help you do that. We just tag team it. I will say I'm super thankful for one of the perks of real estate is like having a flexible schedule. So I am. I'm dropping them off at school. I'm home, well before bedtime, so I'm able to see them. And if I want to take a day off or like just work from home, as much as that looks, I can do that. And I will say I don't feel like I've missed a lot. I feel like I am to the point where I'm okay missing out on some business. And that is kind of, so you know, I lost my dad last month. So I feel like I have this really sharpened sense of perspective right now. And there's a tug and pull of like, man, I want to grow. And then there's this sense of like, for what? Like, if it's pulling me away from why I'm doing it, like, what's the point? Like, I can still grow and kill it and be successful in whatever the world's definition of that is. But I don't want to miss. I don't want to be known as like, oh yeah, he worked a lot. Like he grew a team, but his family didn't see him. So, you know, I think what helped me kind of see that perspective too in the beginning was my 8-year-old. We fostered her and ended up adopting her. So we got her when we were placed with her when she was 2 weeks old. So that was a lot of like, hey, I got to go to a court date or I got to go to a visitation and stuff like that. So I didn't miss those. That was really important. And that kind of instilled like, that's priority. But there's definitely still those like times creeping in of like, man, if I want to grow and keep competing with that, like I got to go. I got to do some things that are going to cost me some time over here. So again, I don't have it nailed down. I will say it is still a priority to like be home before dinner and bring them to school and do what I need to do. It's easy to get caught in the routine of, no, I got to be at the office at this time. But like, no, if I'm going to take them to school or if I'm going to do something different, like I can adjust if necessary, you know?
And I think there's a point in where you're at in your development too, and where I feel like I'm just about to get to, and you mentioned it, it's like saying no to business.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's way more difficult than it was to build it.
Yeah.
And talk about like the freedom that you feel and still maybe like that pit in your stomach when you have to say no, or like somebody wants to meet you and they're like, I've got to meet this day.
Yeah.
And like you are just like, man, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, is that a learned skill or is it something that you just say like, today I'm going to say it, you know, I'm going to like draw the line that going forward, I'm not going to, you know, bend at the expense of my family.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's much easier now that was one of the benefits of starting a team, having leverage to be able to have people there when I'm not able to be. So it's rare that I say no, or I can't accommodate because of my schedule. It's more so saying no to people I don't want to work with, if that makes sense. If I know they're going to take time, like if they're going to suck me dry of just emotional joy and all that stuff, I can say no to that. But it was definitely, you know, it's easier to say no when you have, not to like sound arrogant, but when you have multiple clients,
That's right.
It's easier to say no to one.
You got options.
Yeah. Versus when you're early on, you're like, I only got 5.
Yeah.
If I say no to one, that hits different. So I think just having the perspective of like, hey, I'm trusting that the process and what I built is still going to work out. Like I'm not going to crumble because I miss out on this. And what I found, I was so nervous about like people not understanding, because most of the time, if I say no, it's because of kids. Yeah. Right. But people also have kids and they understand. So I've rarely come across anyone who is not super understanding of like, hey, I get it. I got kids too. So, but it was definitely a learned thing in the sense of like just trusting that it's not going to crumble when you do. And it's gotten easier, to be honest.
Did you struggle like with main character syndrome, that like all of your clients, like, you know, your name's on the sign, so they want to deal with you and like kind of like nudging out and bringing your teammate along, and like the fear of them saying like, well, Rhett, I want to deal with you. Like, I don't want to deal with your team. Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, we've definitely developed some, I won't call them scripts because it seems like it's not genuine, but some conversation topics of how to go about that. And I'm not quite to the point yet where I'm just completely out. I'm still very much in the weeds and production and whatnot, but it really is all about the expectation we set, because that has been like, hey, you have a team, but like, am I going to get you? And I say, yes, you're going to get me. However, when I'm not available, you're going to get them. So like we're working together so that you never feel neglected. So sometimes if I'm not able to show it, our goal is not for me to be at every show. Our goal is for you to get to the showing, for you to actually see the house. So if I can't make it, I have a team member that can step up. If I'm not able to, if I'm on a podcast and I can't talk to you, hey, I've got an assistant that can talk to you and help you through some stuff. So just setting the expectations and setting the vision on the front end goes a long way versus, hey, I'm going to get Rhett for everything. And then they find out midway through, well, who's this person showing up to the house that I don't know, So we've developed a good system of on the front end, just kind of laying the foundation of how we operate.
And it sounds like you knew that there was a need to build a process, and you knew that there was one more thing to add to that list of when you go over it with a potential buyer or a seller of like, this is what's going to happen if this happens. And, but you don't really know what that list looks like until you screw it up, right? And then it just becomes one more thing to add to the list. And so like that takes a level of organization and professionalism, and maybe your college degree gets put back to work in that. But I take it that you're a pretty good documenter and like probably pretty well organized. Like, have you always been that way? And do you have like a team member who kind of manages that? And kind of walk me through like your SOP process or like your documentation process.
Yeah. So I will say I've always been relatively organized. Like I like clean, organized setting and paperwork and all that kind of stuff. That's just why it took me so long to get a TC, because some people just hate that and they're just not good at it and they need it early on. I was able to kind of, not need it for so long. I was more so like, I see the benefit of what I'm losing versus, maintaining all that. But yeah, so I've learned a lot along the way. I won't say I've always had it figured out, obviously, but each stepping stone of where I've been in my real estate journey, I've learned from somebody else who's further along the way. I'm also in a coaching organization. Like I'm coached. So like I go to conferences, I get told every week of like things that you should be thinking about. So learning through trial by fire, but also learning from others' mistakes. That's why it's so good to have good relationships of others in the industry of like, hey, I'm running into this issue. What did you do? Like, oh yeah, I did that. Here's what I did. So learning what they did, adapting it to, more tweaking it to how we operate. But it's just been a lot of learning from others. And it took me way too long to start doing that. But giving them all the credit for that.
And being open-minded, right?
Yeah.
And being in position and being available for that and prioritizing that. That's something that I'm kind of like struggling with right now is I have all of these groups that I'm in and they all serve different purposes. And yet, we might have like a shakeup on our team where I need to go step in and handle these client meetings, and then that stuff gets pushed. And so I'm actively trying to, we're about to make a pretty big operational hire here that I think is going to be able to take more off of our whole team and allow me to go, kind of continue to develop in that. In fact, one of the masterminds that I'm going to, I think will be really relevant to you and where we're at is it's called the Driven Mastermind, and it's all AI and marketing focused. And it's the part that I think for most businesses, guys who sit in that chair or ladies who sit in that chair are like great operators, but like executing the work is only half the battle, right? Like you've got to get the work, you've got to build the pipeline, and you got to put the content out there. And so like getting back to content with you, your video edits are great. They're timely. Like you film on a Thursday and you put it out on Tuesday or something like that. Like, what is that process like for you? And did you start off editing yourself? Do you still edit yourself? Like, what does that like streamlined process look like?
Yeah, I feel like what's always helped me is to like develop themes and systems. So like with the example of the burgers, like I knew that it was going to be a burger series, and then I kind of developed a template of what the video looked like, and it kind of just formed along the way. But if you have certain themes, instead of just shooting in the dark every I'm going to post, I guess I'm here now, let me just post now, but being strategic about when you do it, it's really helped me kind of confine and not feel so scrambled marketing wise. But yeah, I think what really helps is enjoying it. So like I see so many, especially older agents or older people, they're like, I need to get in social media. I need to learn it, and they just don't enjoy it. And that really is a limitation for them, which again, if you don't enjoy it, that's great, but that's when you try to get other people to come along and help you. But I do, so if you see some of our videos, the more professional looking ones, like for our listing videos, we have someone else that shoots and edits those, but like the more raw stuff is me, and I enjoy doing it. So yeah, I have a system of like, I've been doing some more house tour type stuff, try to not just be all food, but also show people I do real estate too. I'll shoot on a Monday or Tuesday and I'll post it on Thursday. I posted something before I walked in here. So having a system helps you time block also, instead of just like, oh crap, I got to post this and it's 10 o'clock at night. And then you just wasted your first impression and exposure. So just kind of learning as you go too, and not having to study it so much to where you don't actually do it. But I've just kind of year after year done is better than perfect mentality and just put it out there. You know, I had no idea what the burger stuff was going to do. I just put out a raw video, and then I learned, okay, people like this format. Okay, I can't be longer than 3 minutes because this platform doesn't like that. And it just kind of learned instead of like having the full plan before I executed, you know? So it's fun. And I think that's a big component of it for me. Like the creative side of it, I enjoy that. I know others don't. So that's when you kind of pull in the other people that do like it to kind of help you.
And you've got the tools too, right? So I've never seen a behind the scenes shot, but like if you're in front of a breakfast joint, you got you and your boy and you got your mics and whatnot. Yeah. I assume there's just a tripod like with your phone or something like that, or like you get creative with where you put your phone.
Yeah, it's rigged. I mean, I've got a tripod. It was trial and error, but it's if there's two people in the truck, there's a little thing you can put on the back of your phone where you can get a wide lens, because the back camera is where you need. But if you put the back camera, you can't see it.
That's right.
So I had to learn, and it's like a little tripod, and I put something to weight it down, and it's not fancy whatsoever. But you don't need that. That's what people think. I gotta have all this equipment and stuff like that. But no, it's not those type of stuff. That's not fully like professional whatsoever.
Yeah. So when you're in the car, it's front facing and it's not wide enough. Like the iPhone lens isn't wide enough yet for you. So you got to put another lens over it.
Yeah. Or? So if I'm by myself, I'll do the front lens and I can see myself. I can see if I'm centered and stuff. But if there's two people, I got to turn because you can do the 0.5 lens to make it wider. But if you do the back camera and you put it that way, you can't see if you're centered and this and that. So that was a trial and error. I don't know if you know Jared Day. My first ever video with a guest was him. And he was like cut out for half the video because I didn't know how to do it. So I bought a little back camera to where you magnetizes to the back of your phone. And so if the back camera is facing you, you can still see if it's centered or not. So
interesting.
Again, I had to fail at one thing to realize, okay, I need this to make it better.
Yeah, I tried to get creative with cameras too. And I'm getting there. I mean, like you said, it's trial and error, but I somehow, I think from watching the Bucket List Family, I was like, all right, I got to like really learn photography and stuff like that and videography. And so I bought one of those little Osmo 3D cameras, little blogging cameras. And those are great too. And I got the little rigs, and then I try to take them to my daughter's soccer game, and it's not really meant for that. And I'm like, I should have shot the video on my iPhone, stuff like that. But it's just so crazy how like nuanced this stuff gets.
Yeah.
And even like getting back to content, like with this marketing, like I'm just learning, like there are some people who are like, we don't really know what's going to work, so let's try this for a while and see if it goes. But there's such a science to it as it relates to the hook and the timing and how does your content look against other people's content. Like these people are building agents that look at like LinkedIn posts that go viral of people in their industry, and then AI will recreate it, and then they post it and then they go viral. And it's just such a science to it. And so whenever I get a chance to talk to a technician like you, it's like, man, there's levels to it, right? And it sounds like, are you going to get deeper into those levels of content, like with series? Is it more of the same for you going forward? You're entering a point in your life where your kids are getting older, and so there's going to be more of those time commitments. Like what's next for you?
Yeah, I think ultimately the goal is to still have fun, and the driving force is to continue establishing trust with people, however that looks. So there's definitely a lot of change that, like, I've always been one to adapt to new things. Facebook, and then Instagram. I'll get Instagram. TikTok took me a little while, but I do feel like I have that part of my brain now. Like even with all the stuff with AI, there's so many apps you can use to make things better. And I feel like I'm getting to that age where I'm like, I sound like I'm old, but I'm like, I don't want to do something new and different, but I feel like I have to continue stretching that. That's the biggest thing. AI is just such a learning curve for even our generation, I feel like. So I feel like not being afraid to do that. but learning things that can help, like editing, like the video I posted today, it takes me 30 minutes to edit it, which didn't sound like a lot, but
no, it's a lot.
If I'm at home with kids and I'm sitting here trying to edit it, like optimizing and being more efficient with stuff like that is the goal. And I won't say I want to, build this big content empire. I think, again, the goal is to continue to have fun and just to go and hunt to bring opportunities to the team. So I don't know how that looks. It's going to be a lot of adapting. The food stuff came out of nowhere. I wasn't planning that whatsoever. I don't know how long that'll ride, but if I get new ideas, I like to just try them and see what works. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I think in thinking about the burgers and the breakfast, like it had to feel good too when you get a new client or a new lead and they're like, yeah, I saw your burger review. I didn't know you did real estate, but like, has that happened for you?
I literally had someone reach out on TikTok and said, hey, I see your burger videos. We're actually looking to buy. Like he didn't know me before. So I got him because of doing a burger video. Yeah. And it was just baffling to me that, like, I don't know. I guess that's just how it works. Like, the system's working.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I've had people reach out because of those. And if I see people and say they recognize me, it's weird, for one. But two, they're like, oh, hey, I recognize you. I'm like, yeah, I'm in real estate. And they're like, no, you're the burger guy. Or I'm like, should I be proud of this or not? But I guess I should be because it's working. But like, that's not what's paying the bills,
Yeah. Well, if you do another one, okay, consider me. I'm an early riser, but I know the breakfast thing's kind of dead, but I do love a good restaurant. Yeah. And so I think it'd just be entertaining, like to have a meal too, bro.
It's fun, man.
It's like, just I love to, like, when you're doing it and like the guy you're with's on the phone and you're like just ragging them, like
it's just relatable stuff, It's just like making it like worth watching, because it can be kind of long, but you constantly poke at you. And they're friends too. Like I have the ability to do that, but it's fun. It's awesome.
Well, man, it's been great to get to know you more. We're kind of at this really inflection point of our lives as fathers and husbands and business owners, and so anytime I get an opportunity to deal with somebody who's growth minded and Christ focused, it's always a blast. So I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to following you and seeing the next content idea you come out with.
I love it, man. I'm honored to be in the mix of your guests.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you.